Hey, I'm Nate Fossen. I'm a professional archaeologist currently excavating in northern Texas, and I specialize in the archaeology of the indigenous peoples of North America prior to colonization by Europeans, especially in the region that we call the Eastern Woodlands. I've been working in this region for more than 10 years, so I have a lot of experience to draw on in these videos. I decided to do this short video to elaborate on something that I mentioned in my first video, the Archaeology of North America, the significance of domesticated dogs in North America prior to colonization by Europeans. It's pretty common knowledge at this point that dogs are the product of human domestication of wolves. If not the species Canis lupus specifically, then something very similar. This currently is estimated to have occurred sometime in the neighborhood of 30,000 years ago in Eurasia, more on the Asia side. And the domestic dogs of the Americas are rooted in this lineage. They were brought over by one or more of the early colonizing populations from Eurasia. But once they got here, they would have interbred, at least occasionally, with local canids. For example, gray wolves, red wolves in more of the southeastern regions, and of course coyotes. Now here the dog is the only domesticated mammal, and for the majority of the time people live here, everyone is living these very mobile, nomadic hunter-gatherer kinds of lifestyles, without the assistance of horses or donkeys or any other kinds of pack animals to help them carry things all over creation. As a result, there are only two ways that you can carry your things as you're moving from site to site. One is you can do it by foot with the assistance of bags or basketry. But the other and more convenient way is to outfit your dogs to help you carry some of your things, probably with some kind of saddlebags. Now, as far as I know, we don't have any direct evidence of these kinds of bags, but we do have very good osteological evidence. That's evidence markers on the bones that show that dogs were carrying heavy loads for long periods of time. So, for example, I once worked on a site called the William Springs site. I supervised excavations there. It's in northern Alabama, and we recovered this vertebra that's from a domestic dog. It's a lumbar vertebra from the lower back, and you can see that spinous process, the little fin that sticks up off the back, has been bent down. And that's not natural. It's also not something that can happen very quickly. That's the result of that part of the spine being compressed and pushed down by heavy weights and heavy loads for long periods of time as the bone is growing and developing. I've seen other instances of this at several conferences. There have been papers given where that spinous process will bend to the side, and so it like curves this way, so it starts to look kind of like Shamu's dorsal fin. So on a less, I guess, pragmatic topic, in much of the eastern woodlands, there seems to be some kind of religious association between dogs and the afterlife. An anthropologist named Jenny James has documented the association between dogs and death in multiple Native American ethno-linguistic groups, like the Cherokee, their northern relatives, the Iroquois, also the Seminole of Florida, and the Ojibwa from the western Great Lakes region. I'll throw that citation down in the description. We know that in many of these groups, a mythological dog figure character guides souls across the Milky Way to the land of the dead. And even as far back as the Archaic period, we see dogs buried in close association with humans. It may be that this is kind of an early manifestation of this belief that dogs are guides for souls to cross over to the afterlife. So, for example, at various shell mound archaic sites, you have frequencies of dogs that are as high as one dog for every 10 humans. And at another site called Black Cat Cave, there's a dog burial that is placed at kind of the front that appears to be guarding the entrance to the cave. So these may be very early manifestations of this idea of the dog being a spirit guide for dead souls. Well, I hope you found that interesting. If you have any questions about this or any other topics related to the archaeology of the Eastern Woodlands or North America in general, please feel free to leave those in the comments section. And as always, thank you for watching. So what I'm trying to do with this channel is twofold. First, archaeologists in America have historically done a very bad job of communicating our nation's prehistory to the general public outside of the university classroom. And most people that I talk to have never taken an archaeology class. So they're generally unaware of the rich pre-colonial history that we have in this country. Americans will travel to Europe and other parts of the old world every year to see famous archaeological sites like the Colosseum in Rome or Stonehenge. And they are generally unaware of a lot of the monumental sites and other archaeological sites that we have here in this country. So I'm trying to right that wrong on the one hand. Second, there's a lot of general misinformation floating around about what life was like here prior to colonization, who did what, where people are coming from, and I'd like to do my best to correct that as a professional. So if these subjects are things that interest you, then I'll ask you to please keep an eye on this channel. Thank you.